You're leading.
Hello. I was just going to ask Nana here if she knew any scary stories that happened at gas stations.
Well, not to me personally, but there's one I remember, and it happened in Bastrop.
Mm.
This friend of mine was working at a local convenience store, and she was held up at gunpoint. They called law enforcement, and they come out, and this officer is asking her how big was the gun, and she made a big circle with her arms, and she said that barrel was that big. That's all she saw was that barrel, not that the person that was holding her up had a stocking, a pair of pantyhose or something over his head so his face would not be easily recognized.
Can I ask you a question?
What?
Was this Joyce?
Yes.
I knew it. Joyce is no longer with us, but she was a character and a half, man. Okay.
Yes.
We could do a whole thing about Joyce, but we won't.
No
we
doubt.
won't.
And do you know any scary stories in general?
In general?
Yeah.
As in like...
Is there anything that happened to you that you thought was scary or that happened to someone you know?
I know something that happened to her that was not scary, but just weird.
What?
When you lived in that trailer, on Old Natchitoches, you would tell me sometimes about the Indian chief using the toilet. Do you remember this?
I don't remember that. But now that you mentioned that, there was one night
Okay.
this young man beat on the door, and it was quite late. And he needed to borrow a phone. That he was running away from somebody that had tried to rape him.
Mm.
No, you're not coming in my house. You're going to stay right out there.
Yeah.
And Al was there.
Yeah.
You just squat down right there. And we called the law enforcement. And they come out to see what was going on. And in another situation, that same location, I called law enforcement one night because somebody was wiggling my doorknob.
Yeah.
911 operator wants, do you have a gun? Yes, I do. Do you have it with you? No, it's on the shelf in the closet. And it was less than 3 minutes. There were 5 units of patrol cars shows up in that trailer park. I still don't know who was wiggling that doorknob. But for sure, that trigger guard on my handgun come off that gun that night, and it's not been put back on it because of that incident that night.
Yeah.
Whoever it was could have been in that house and on me before I could have gotten to that gun and got the guard on trigger guard unlocked.
Yeah. That is pretty scary.
It is.
But they didn't get in.
No.
Okay.
It could have been some kid in the neighborhood. It don't matter, you know. It's
Yeah.
just give me a rush.
Which is also scary because if it had been me, I probably would have been firing through the door.
I know a girl that done that very thing with a double barrel shotgun.
Yeah, yeah. And then anyway, because I'm definitely like shoot first, ask questions later type of person.
I had a bit of a rush quite recently. As in, this past Friday was a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
I had a long day lined up, so I'm feeding the horses at Pioneer early, as in before daylight.
Yeah.
And I wanted to get over there. It's when it got light enough I could see to walk back to where the horses were. I'm sitting there in the car, and I have all 3 of my dogs with me, and all of a sudden my dogs just went crazy. I cranked my engine up, backed up, started down toward where they were barking and looking, turned my headlights on. I assumed it'd be a deer, coon, something, you know. And I go down, you know, the road wise, where one road comes into the other, right there on the, okay. I do me a 360, turn around, and I head on back out. I'm assuming that something had stepped off into the bushes. Whatever animal, you know, whatever. And I see deer track out there all the time. But I had finished my little whatever and officially going to the house, get my day going. And I'm not 200 foot up the road, set of headlights behind coming up. So whatever the dogs saw or smelled drove a vehicle.
Mm.
And it paced me. I slowed down. They stayed way back there. I'm assuming somebody out there night hunting.
Mm.
But
Mm.
I don't know that for sure.
There's always something going on over there.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
It's an isolated place, yeah.
People go out there. I assume people go out there when they're trying to find a place to be where they don't want to be seen. Probably not realizing that you have horses out there that you're feeding. You know what I'm saying?
Well, they know I've got horses out there because they've been shot and killed.
Well, some people know you do, but
Yeah.
and when she says they've been, she means her horses. She has at least how many horses have been shot?
I'm down to 2.
Yeah.
But there's been at least 6 shot and killed on that place in the years since I've had that property.
Yeah. What about 20, 30 years now? 20 years.
Close to it.
Yeah. Yeah. And while we're on the topic of out there, you and I definitely believe that there are panthers out there. I do.
Absolutely.
But if you ask Wildlife and Fisheries,
There's none in the area.
they will check. I wonder why they're in denial about that.
Well, now that you bring that up, I was going to Vicksburg one day, and there's some road construction on the interstate.
Yeah.
And there's this car stopped in the construction lane and got out. You know, they're taking pictures of something black
Yeah.
that's over there. So I pulled off on the shoulder and I'm like, is that a bear? No, ma'am, it's a cat. So I can't call Wildlife and Fisheries, so I called Westgarden Parish Sheriff's Department. Would you put this information in the right place? Because I know this is a cat.
Yes.
And what mile marker it was close to. And I went on to Vicksburg and come back through. And then got out there, got the cat, got it gone.
And they'll tell you it's a cougar, right? They'll say cougar, but no panthers.
Ah, it don't matter. This was a black panther of
Yeah.
a sort. But right there close to where the pipeline crosses down there where my horse, I saw the yellow rear end of a
Yeah. I'm trying to
mountain lion, cougar, whatever you want to call it.
What is the
Step off into
difference?
A panther is just a big cat. All big cats are panthers.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So when we say there's a panther,
Yeah. So lions, tigers, mountain
Hello, they're
lions.
gonna say-
they're all panthers.
are all names for the same large
They-
wildcat. So when they
they're
tell
gonna-
us there
They're
are,
jacked up about this high.
so it's just a matter of what name you choose to call it.
Well, basically we would stick with the black ones we call panthers. The yellows are cougar, you know.
Okay.
Am I wrong? Check it.
I'm looking, so it says AI overview. Panther, cougar, puma, mountain lion are all names for the same large wildcat species. So they would agree that we have cougars, but they don't like to say panther. It's just because they don't like the name.
Well, no. Officially speaking, cougars are extinct everywhere east of Colorado except Florida.
Okay.
So you can look up like the range of a cougar, and they're extinct, officially speaking, in all the states west of the Rocky Mountains,
Okay, but here,
or east of them. Yeah.
here, well, here it says cougars are found only in North and South America, while panthers can be found in Asia, Africa, and the Americas.
Yeah.
Both belong to the same family, Felidae, but are considered 2 generations. I'm just so confused. But I'm saying, I feel like we have had this discussion with Wildlife and Fisheries, or maybe it was just like with the one particular agent saying something about, but it's like they refuse to admit that there are panthers. And I believe I have seen a panther on your road, like a panther cub on your road
Mm-hmm.
where you live. Like jumping, it would have looked like just like a big black tomcat, except the tail went all the way, like the tail was like the length of its body, and it was not the size of what you would think of a panther. Don't get, like, it looked like a small
Mm-hmm.
panther, but huge
Yeah, they
house
got-
cat, and its tail was longer than its body and
Yeah.
curled up
Curl.
around. Yes, curled up around. And I was like, oh my gosh, because up until then, I did not believe you. Up until then, and it jumped across the road in the daytime. Like, this was not night, dusk, nothing. Jumped out of the soybeans, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Jumped out of the soybeans and dove into the woods over there on the left. Yes.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. Gosh.
There
Yeah.
are a few sightings of them, not so much
Yes.
as, but there was one, Count Minden had some on that property over there.
Yeah. And here's the thing, are they not like getting people's dogs or wildlife or chickens or anything? Maybe,
If they're hungry,
What
I
were
guess
they
they eat anything
eating?
up to it, including horses.
okay. I just think there would be like evidence.
Well, the thing is,
They don't want something dead, they want something that's relatively fresh to eat.
well, people hunted them to extinction in those states. So they used to be all across North America.
Really?
Yeah, so the first English speakers wrote about them in Virginia. So they used to go all the way to there, but they just drove them extinct everywhere. But in like Utah and Colorado, most of the states out there, a lot of their land is still held by the federal government, and it's used as national park land.
Okay.
And so there's not close contact with people that would have driven them extinct.
Yeah. Well, there was one time I was at Nana's house, and I still want to call it Mama's house.
It's all right. We all do.
I was at Nana's house, and this was back when I used to smoke. I hate admitting this on YouTube. Back when I used to smoke, so I stepped outside for a cigarette, and I'm standing there in the dark, and you've got to understand how isolated this is. This is at the end of a dead end dirt road, one neighbor on the whole road, and she's not far away, but one neighbor on the road, far enough away where you can't hear her yelling at somebody inside her house, but you might hear her yelling if she's on her porch. Okay, so I'm standing out there at one light, one singular light from the porch, and then infinite darkness night, and there's a tree there, right? But I can't see the top of the tree because it's in darkness. The light is just shining down on me, and I kid you not, I'm standing out there, just lit that cigarette, took a couple of puffs, and I hear "Rawr" from the tree. And I took off running in the house. I don't know what kind of cat was in the tree, but I know it was a cat, and I know it was coming from that tree. It could have been, what do we have running? Bobcats? I know
Bobcat, yeah.
and we've run up on a bobcat on that trail out there, or was that a cougar that we saw? It was a yellow one out at Black Bayou. Do y'all remember that?
You
We
mean
came
the-
up on it, and it ran from us.
It would have been a bobcat.
It was yellow.
Some of them were quite large, yeah.
Yeah. Scared me
Yeah.
to death.
Bobcats kill deer,
Oh my gosh.
but they're
they
only a
look
little
big.
bigger than a house
I
cat.
know, they don't look big enough to take down a deer, but I mean, fast. You talk about fast.
They are very fast.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mean, we've just got scary stories about just the animals out here. You know?
Yes, when I had the Volkswagen,
Yeah.
I got up one morning, got in that car to do my errands. I look in the back window. There's this little footprint,
Yeah.
paw print
On the Volkswagen.
on the Volkswagen. And that's when I had brought something in from the grocery store, and I pulled in right there to offload it to the kitchen.
Yeah.
So I just left it there instead of pulling around to the driveway. I wasn't quite sure what it was. One of the neighbors says, "That looks like a bear track."
Oh,
Well, I got to looking around, and I could see where something was chewing a piece of metal. Something had been in the van.
yeah.
Teeth marks all over it. Teeth marks just chewed it up. So I was going back into the house, and there at the front door, on the south side of the house, there's this smudge. What the devil? And it is a paw print on the glass. As in,
Over your door?
that mama bear
Yeah.
had brought her cub up to the house to
I
play.
know.
Or At the time, I had dog food out all the time. It was on the porch, so I'm
Yeah.
assuming that's what the attraction was.
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, so
I think-
anything else?
I think that's it for right now.